The air in the community center was thick with anticipation, the kind that makes your skin prickle and your heart thump a little too loud. Rows of folding chairs were packed with locals of families, veterans, and curious teens chatting over the hum of fluorescent lights. At the front of the room, a makeshift stage held a peculiar setup, a table with a black box, wires snaking out like veins, and a digital timer glowing red. It was the annual Veterans Charity Fair, a small-town tradition in Willow Creek, where soldiers, engineers, and civilians mingled to raise funds for wounded warriors. The event was usually light-hearted pie auctions, kids' games, and friendly competitions, but tonight, something felt different. A buzz had spread through the crowd about a last-minute edition, a bomb defusal challenge, staged as a dramatic fundraiser. The twist: a civilian would face off against a decorated soldier in a test of wits, with a bizarre wager to spice things up. The room hushed as the MC, a wiry man with a booming voice, stepped up to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he called, "tonight's main event pits one of our own against a true hero. Let's welcome our civilian contender, Daniel Harper." A smattering of applause rippled through the crowd, but it was laced with whispers. Daniel Harper, the single dad who fixed cars for a living, the guy who barely spoke at town meetings. Heads turned as a man in his mid-30s shuffled toward the stage, his work boots scuffing the floor. Daniel was no stranger to Willow Creek, but he wasn't exactly a local legend either. His flannel shirt was wrinkled, his dark hair slightly mussed, and his hazel eyes carried a quiet weight, like someone who'd seen too much but said too little. He climbed the steps, hands in his pockets, and gave a small nod to the crowd. A few people clapped politely, but others exchanged skeptical glances. This was the guy taking on a soldier. The MC grinned, milking the moment. "And now, our challenger, Captain Elena Martinez, U.S. Army Explosive Ordnance Disposal." The room erupted as a woman strode forward with the kind of confidence that could silence a storm. Elena was striking, her dark hair pulled into a tight bun, her uniform crisp and commanding. Medals gleamed on her chest, and her sharp brown eyes scanned the crowd like a hawk. She was a hometown hero, back from her third tour, known for defusing ides in war zones without breaking a sweat. The crowd adored her, and she knew it, flashing a charismatic smile that made even the skeptics cheer. She stepped onto the stage, sizing up Daniel with a playful smirk. "So, you're the brave soul who signed up for this?" she said, her voice carrying a teasing edge. The crowd chuckled, and Daniel's ears reddened. He wasn't here by choice, not really. His buddy, Tom, who ran the auto shop, had volunteered him as a community representative after Daniel fixed a veteran's car for free. It was supposed to be a fun stunt, a way to draw donations, but standing across from Elena, Daniel felt like a lamb facing a lion. The MC explained the rules. A simulated bomb, built by the Army's team, sat on the table. It wasn't live, of course. No one was that reckless, but it was complex, with a tangle of wires, circuits, and a timer counting down from 10 minutes. The goal was to disarm it using only verbal instructions from a manual read aloud by a volunteer. Elena would go first, guiding a blindfolded assistant, then Daniel would take his turn. The catch: the loser had to agree to a fun penalty, decided by the winner. The crowd buzzed with excitement, but Daniel's stomach churned. He wasn't a quitter, but he also wasn't a showman. His life was about keeping things steady, paying bills, fixing cars, and making sure his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, had dinner on the table. This stage, this crowd, this smirking soldier, it was all out of his depth. Elena went first, her assistant a young private who looked nervous but eager. Blindfolded, the private fumbled at first, but Elena's voice was a steel thread, calm and precise. "Green wire, second from the left to clip it now. Steady, don't tug." Her commands were like music, each word hitting the right note. The crowd watched, rapt, as the private followed her lead, snipping wires and twisting connectors. With 2 minutes to spare, the timer stopped, and the crowd roared. Elena unclipped her assistant's blindfold and gave him a mock salute, earning more cheers. She turned to Daniel, her smirk widening. "Your turn, mechanic. Let's see if you can keep up." The crowd laughed, and Daniel felt the heat of their eyes. He wasn't stupid. He'd taken apart engines, rewired dashboards, and even built a go-kart for Lily from scratch. But this was different. This was public, high stakes, and he was up against a pro. His assistant, a gangly teenager named Max who'd volunteered for the thrill, stepped up, blindfold already in place. Daniel took a deep breath, clutching the manual the MC handed him. The pages were dense with jargon, capacitors, relays, voltage thresholds. His hands shook slightly as he started reading. Locate the blue wire on the right side. A broken bar. Max hesitated, fingers hovering over the box. The crowd murmured, some giggling at Daniel's uncertain tone. Elena leaned against the table, arms crossed, her expression a mix of amusement and pity. Come on, Dad, don't choke now, she called, and the laughter grew louder. Daniel's jaw tightened. He wasn't here to be a clown. He thought of Lily, watching from the back with Tom's wife, her wide eyes expecting him to try. Even if he failed, he pushed on, his voice steadying. Max, find the red switch, top left, flip it down. Max obeyed, but the timer kept ticking. The manual was a maze of instructions, and Daniel's lack of training showed. He misread a step, telling Max to cut a yellow wire instead of a green one, and a buzzer sounded a wrong move. The crowd groaned, and Elena clapped slowly, her grin taunting. Need a hint, Harper? Or should we start planning the wedding? The room exploded with laughter, and Daniel's face burned. The wager had been her idea, a joke she tossed out during setup. If you lose, I pick the penalty. Yeah, maybe I'll marry you and fix your boring life. It was meant to be funny, a crowd pleaser. But to Daniel, it stung. He wasn't just a boring mechanic. He was a father who'd buried his wife 3 years ago, who stayed up late checking Lily's math homework, who carried grief like a second skin. He didn't need a soldier's pity or her mockery. As the timer dipped below 3 minutes, Daniel's frustration boiled over. He wasn't the soldier, but he knew machines. He'd rebuilt carburetors in the dark, traced electrical faults with his eyes closed. This bomb was just another machine, wasn't it? He stopped reading the manual, his instincts kicking in. Max, forget the book. Feel for a loose wire near the bottom up. It'll be thicker, probably black. Tug it gently. Max, confused but trusting, did as told. A click sounded, and the timer paused for a moment, a small victory. The crowd gasped, and Elena's smirk faltered. Daniel kept going, his voice slow but firm, describing the box as if it were an engine block. There's a relay switch, Max, near the center. Push it left, not right. Max followed, and another buzzer didn't sound a good sign. The crowd leaned forward, the laughter replaced by murmurs of surprise. Elena's eyes narrowed, her arms uncrossing. Daniel was no expert, but he was focused, his hand steady as he guided Max through the final steps. With 30 seconds left, Max clipped a final wire, and the timer froze. The room erupted, not as loud as the for Elena, but genuine. Daniel exhaled, his shoulders sagging. He'd done it barely. Max ripped off his blindfold, grinning, and slapped Daniel's shoulder. The MC rushed over, declaring it a tie, but Elena wasn't having it. She stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. A tie? No way. Let's raise the stakes. She turned to Daniel, her eyes glinting with challenge. One more round, Harper. This time, you disarm it by or no manual, no assistant. I'll talk you through it. If you fail, you owe me that penalty. Say a broken bar marriage, the crowd hooted, loving the drama. Daniel froze. Marriage? It was a joke, sure, but it hit like a punch. He hadn't thought about love since Sarah died. His life was Lily, the shop, and keeping his head above water. Elena's taunt felt like a spotlight on his loneliness, and the crowd's laughter made it worse. He wanted to walk away, but Lily's face in the back row stopped him. She was clapping, her small hands fierce, believing in him. He couldn't let her down. Fine, he said, his voice quieter than he meant. But if I win, you drop the mockery. Deal? Elena's smile wavered, surprised by his steel. Deal, she said, and the crowd went wild. The MC reset the bomb, blindfolded Daniel, and handed Elena a new manual. The timer started, and Elena's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Left side, third wire. Cut it. Daniel's hands moved, his heart pounding. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was about proving something to Elena, to the crowd, to himself. And maybe, just maybe, to the little girl who thought he could do anything.